Hey there, everybody. It's Nathan Elson here, and it's time for another episode of How I Got the Shot. Now, this is the type of image that we're going to be creating today. Well, let's just get into it. Here we are in the studio, and I'm running a 3-light setup. My key light is an 8600 Pro fitted with a large Profoto deep umbrella with the diffusion panel attached. This light is metered to f8 at 1/200th of a second at ISO 100. Now, because we need our camera to mimic our key light in order to obtain a proper exposure, my camera settings are also going to be set to f8 at 1/200th of a second at ISO 100. If we take a look at this setup from the side, you can see that the model is positioned roughly 6 feet away from the backdrop, with the key light positioned so that the model is being lit with the left side of the modifier, allowing the rest of the light to feather across for a smoother transition of shadows. The two background lights are also 8600 Pros with medium deep Profoto umbrellas attached. These lights are metered to f11 at 1/200th of a second at ISO 100, making them one full stop brighter than my key light, which is what gives me that pure white background. My camera is the Nikon D800 with the Sigma Art 85mm lens, and I'm tethered into InCapture 1 Pro. Okay, so here we are in InCapture 1, and I'm just going to take you guys through some of the images here real quick. Now, these are all straight out of camera, but I just wanted to show you, I really like to go for more interesting poses, different angles, things like that, something that's a little bit, just it draws your attention in a little bit more. And I'm probably going to go with this image here. I really like the way that the light is kind of hitting on the small of her back. She's got really good eye contact with the camera. Everything just kind of like falls into place. And this is a pose that we actually work towards for a little bit in order to capture. So I really like this image. Now, I'm just going to quickly kind of go through a little bit of the color grading. And what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to come up into my styles. And as you can see here, I've got my NE 2021 C1 styles, and these are styles that I've been developing over the past year. And as my workflow progresses and as my everything gets better and stuff like that, I save different things that I do as I go. And if I keep coming back to them, well, then I end up putting them into a pack and I can offer them to you guys here. So these are some of the styles that I've been using over the past year. Now, Contra is this one that I really tend to use on these white backdrops. It tends to make everything pop. You don't lose any of the detail in the skin or in the highlights. As you can see, if we turn this on, our background is completely white, hence the red, but we're not losing any detail in the hair. We're not, losing any of the stray hairs and stuff like that, the things that make the image interesting. So it's just a really great tool for very quickly kind of taking something and making it a lot more interesting. I'll just show you guys a quick before and after. So this is the before, obviously, straight out of camera, and then this is the after. And if I come out, I'll show you guys. So after, before, after, before. And with this type of lighting, I really gravitate towards black and white, and a lot of things, obviously, but when I'm shooting on these white backdrops and stuff like that, I just find black and white to be a lot more iconic. So this is what we're gonna go with today. From a color grading perspective, that's it. We're gonna take you into Photoshop. We're gonna get rid of this stand. We're gonna go through a little bit of the retouching, and we'll finalize this image. Okay, here we are in Photoshop, and first thing we're gonna do is get rid of this stand. And the easiest way to do that is I'm just going to come over here and I'm gonna grab my polygonal lasso tool. And the reason I'm gonna use that is I wanna be able to just quickly draw around this and be able to lift up on my pen as needed. Gonna come around that toe. There we go. And then from there, we're just gonna use the content aware. So I'm just gonna hit backspace on my keyboard. It's gonna come up saying, content aware. Yes, hit okay. And there we go, that's done. So I'm gonna hit Control D just to get rid of that and for that selection. Then I'm gonna come in full size. And I'm just gonna come in nice and tight on her eyes here. And I'm just gonna grab my healing brush and I'm just gonna quickly get rid of a couple of these veins in the eyes. And I don't tend to go too crazy on the eyes. I don't go pure white. I don't get rid of all the veins. And I find that if you take out too much, it ends up looking somewhat alien, if you will. So we're just gonna take that. There, that looks great. Come back to full size. And then just with my healing brush again here, I'm just gonna get rid of a couple of these stray hairs that are coming across the model's face. I like stray hairs in the outer of the hair. I don't tend to like them when they're just ever so slightly streaming across the face. And then with this, just gonna come in and just eliminate a couple of these little imperfections in the skin. And again, this is more of a portrait, less of a beauty shot. So, you know, we're not going like crazy heavy retouching where everything looks absolutely perfect. We just want to clean it up a touch. There we go, that looks great. So if I just do a quick before and after, you can see that's cleaned up there now. And I don't think there's really anything else that I need to clean up on this image. So that looks great. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna run my dodge and burn. This tool, this action is completely free. I will link it down in the description below. All you need to do is run the action, make sure that your paintbrush is selected, that it is set to white, that your flow is set to around 5%, your opacity 100%, and your brush size set, or brush hardness, sorry, is set to 0. You also want to make sure if you're using a tablet that your smoothing is set to 0%. The reason for that being that if it's set to like 100, it tends to lag a lot. I think it's set up more for if you're using a mouse, that kind of thing. But if you're using a tablet, make sure that your smoothing is set to 0%. Now, what this does is we essentially can use this tool to darken or lighten certain areas of the image. If we want to make an area darker, we select the burn. If we want to make it lighter, we select the dodge. So I'm just going to select my dodge tool here, and I'm just going to come in. I'm just going to smooth out a couple of these areas that I can see that just need to blend in a little touch more with the subject's skin. And I'll do a little quick before and after here, just so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm doing, because it can be hard to see what I'm doing as I go along. But if when I toggle it on and off here, you'll see the change that it's made. So if I turn this off and on, you can see up here in her eye, down here in her cheek, things like that. Turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. You can see it's just helping to blend the skin in a little bit better. And you're not losing any of that detail. You're not losing any of the pores in the skin, anything like that. It's a really nice, clean, easy way to just get rid of a few different areas that you just want to blend into the skin a little bit better. And, you know, little crease marks and stuff like that from clothing, that kind of thing. You can come in here with our burn tool. I'm just gonna make this a little bit larger and just kind of paint away this lighter area. There we go. And then we'll come in with our dodge and just work on the darker area a bit here. There we go. If we come in full size, you can see before and after, and it's just starting to take away some of those areas that just needed to be blended a touch more. Now you do have the option as well, if I flatten this down, you can come in with your healing brush tool, and you know, if you do a thin line, you can come through and take out a couple of these crease areas, things like that. It can be a little bit quicker. Some spots on the back of her arm. There we go. Little spots there. That's looking great. Okay, awesome. I'm going to run the dodge and burn again. I'm going to come in with my dodge and just do a little bit more fine tuning here around her mouth. There we go. Up here by her eye. And in the nose area, just a touch. Nice. So before and after. I'm just kind of smoothing this area in around her mouth just to make sure there isn't any shadow that's not blending properly. That looks great. So from there, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna come in now, I'm gonna do a little bit more of a global dodge and burn. So I'm gonna run my action. I'm gonna use my burn tool. I'm just gonna follow along on the shadow areas that are already created from the light. If you've seen any of my videos in the past, you know I don't like to create things that are not there. I prefer just to enhance what already is. So some of this definition in her back, in her ribs, muscle definition, stuff like that. We want to make sure that we highlight that area. Come down with my dodge and just hit the lighter areas just to make sure they pop. And then again, just following that contour of light. Bring out a little bit more of that shaping. And so if I turn this off and on, you can see it's just adding a little bit more definition to the cheekbones, into her back, areas like that. Again, I'll turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, and it's just making everything pop a little bit more. It's not creating something that isn't there, it's just enhancing what already is. So if I take you guys here and I show you a straight out of camera image and the final retouch, well, that shows you everything we needed to do this image. And there we have it. That wraps another episode of How I Got the Shot. Now, hopefully you guys picked up a few tips from this that you can use in your shoots going forward. If you have any questions about anything, use the comments box down below. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'd very much appreciate it. It definitely helps with the reach. And as always, I will talk with you guys again very, very soon. Cheers.